Welcome to Explorer Classroom. My name is Dr. Serena McCalla. I am a National Geographic Explorer, and today I will serve as your host. At National Geographic, we believe anyone can be an explorer and that you have the power to make a difference in the world, no matter how old you are. Explorer Classroom is here to inspire you with stories from the field and connect you with our National Geographic Explorers live to answer your questions. Before we get into today's lesson, I'd like to welcome all of the classes who are joining us today, especially Adams Family Homeschool, Webber Elementary, Minsk International, Government Junior Secondary School, Burlington City High School. Today, we will be joined by young explorer, Andrea Villarreal Rodríguez. Andy is a storyteller who documents the inspiring stories of youth pioneering climate change solutions in their communities. She uses photography and filmmaking to highlight the unique perspectives and skills that youth bring to the climate conversation. She is also a host and mentor for the Slingshot Challenge, which provides a platform for youth ages 13 to 18 to voice their ideas about the future of conservation work in a 1-minute video submission. A little later, we'll hear more about the challenge and how you can get involved. Andy's home base is in Monterrey, Mexico, where she is currently working in a youth collective called Journey to the Microcosm. They are harnessing the power of citizen science to protect the Santa Catarina River. Today, Andy will join us live, but first she is going to take us to the Santa Catarina River in Monterrey, Mexico to tell us a little bit more about her project. Let's connect with Andy in the field.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea Villarreal Rodríguez and I'm a National Geographic Young Explorer. I'm a documentary filmmaker and I love telling stories of communities working together to protect our remarkable planet. Today, I'm here at the Santa Catarina River in Monterrey, Nuevo León. I come here often with my camera to capture the work of a wonderful group of young women who in Spanish are called Viaje al Microcosmos, and in English that translates to Journey to the Microcosm. They are harnessing the power of citizen science to monitor the health of the Santa Catarina River, fostering a deeper connection between people and our local environment. Join me on this very rainy day to discover what makes this river so extraordinary and how you can also make a positive impact in your community.
Thank you, Andy. I hope you're staying dry out there. We just heard from Andy that she enjoys documenting and telling stories of people who are working together to protect this planet. Think about some issues that the environment in your community is facing. What are the important stories to tell? Students, I'd like you to share your answers with your teachers, and teachers, go ahead and type those answers in the chat. Be sure to use a proper name because I don't want to shout out King Thor. So everybody take a second, go ahead and let the teachers write some things in the chat that you would like us to discuss. Okay. Come on. Plastic pollution. Okay, great. What else? All right. Well, I think there's a lot of things in the environment that we can look forward to learning more about as we listen to Andy a little bit more. So let's go back to Andy and learn a little bit more about the Santa Catarina River.
The Santa Catarina River flows through the entire Monterrey metropolitan area. It is not always filled with water, like today, but its beautiful flora and fauna make it a unique urban ecosystem. Viaje al Microcosmos has worked closely with other citizens to document over 600 species in this area alone, like the willow tree behind me or the wonderful kingfisher birds. They are also among the first people to identify the tiny native microorganisms that live in this river and are fundamental for our lives. Furthermore, the river helps mitigate the impacts of the climate crisis. For instance, the plants in the riverbank help improve air quality and reduce temperatures. They also help to slow down the flow of water during rainstorms, protecting communities nearby. This essential function not only safeguards livelihoods, but highlights the river's essential role as a guardian of our natural surroundings. Unfortunately, like many other rivers in the world, Santa Catarina has faced its share of problems. Industrial waste and pollution have threatened the water quality and health of the river inhabitants. We've also witnessed deforestation and pressure from urbanization, which leads to soil erosion and habitat loss. Despite these challenges, the Santa Catarina River remains a resilient natural wonder, and efforts like those of Viaja al Microcosmos serve as a beacon of hope in its conservation. I've had the privilege of documenting their journey through photography and film. Stay tuned to learn more about their work.
I see that a couple of you guys wrote some additional answers while the video was on, and I want to just address what you guys said. Some of you discussed pollution, plastic pollution especially was a big problem, water pollution, littering, deforestation, climate change, air quality emissions, especially on our big city highways. Thank you, Calvin. Pollution in our local waterways. Thank you, Anala. Trash island in the Pacific Ocean. Yes, Elijah, that's a big problem. And toxic waste. Fantastic. Thank you guys for adding all of those comments in our chat. I think that everything that Andy was saying was so interesting. So thank you for sharing the resiliency of the Santa Catarina River. So I hope you guys, while you were writing in the chat, you were also listening. And students, we want to know if you were paying close attention to Andy. So we're going to take a quick poll. So the poll is going to ask you to answer the following question. What problems are the Santa Catarina River facing? A, industrial waste. B, deforestation. C, drought. And D, all of the above. So what do you guys think is happening in the Santa Catarina River as a result of watching the video with Andy? You can put your answers in the chat and we'll just read them out loud. And then eventually I'll tell you guys what the poll said. I think I know what the answer is. Okay, so we're seeing deforestation. Any others? Okay, some of you guys are saying industrial waste. So we have deforestation, about 30% of you guys are saying deforestation, 30% are saying industrial waste. No drought? What's the other 40? Anastasia on YouTube, you said deforestation. Okay. All right. I think everyone is absolutely correct, because the answer is all of the above, unfortunately. So great work, everybody, for putting your answers in. Thank you for participating. 55% of you guys said all of the above, 33% industrial waste, 11% deforestation. I'm sorry, drought. So we all are correct, in essence, unfortunately. All right, so let's go back to Andy and learn a little bit more about Journey to the Microcosm Collective and why their work is so important.
In an industrial city like Monterrey, Viaja al Microcosmos is on a mission to redefine how we interact with our environment. Through their innovative tools, they are empowering citizens to take an active role in monitoring the health of our local waterways, like the Santa Catarina River. Their approach goes beyond traditional data collection. They encourage people not only to record sensory attributes like color and smell, but also to express what the river makes them feel. This group of young women is making urban exploration accessible to all, fostering a sense of wonder and sensibility, especially in younger children. This revolutionary approach is known as citizen science, a powerful method for engaging communities in local conservation efforts. By involving people in the data collection process and instilling a powerful sense of belonging to their natural surroundings, Viaja al Microcosmos is fostering a profound sense of environmental stewardship.
Wow. You just heard a little more about citizen science and how the collective is coming together to make a change in their local community. And what about you? Can you think of an environmental problem you'd like to solve? Well, Andy has an opportunity for you. Let's hear how you can get involved.
This is just one example of youth becoming catalysts for change in their communities. And you too can join on this incredible movement. I'm so happy to announce that you can now join the 2024 Slingshot Challenge. We need your creativity to protect nature, clean the air, restore our oceans, reduce waste, and address climate change. Through this opportunity, you'll be connected to a global network of National Geographic explorers, gaining skills and inspiration to transform your ideas into tangible action. You can sign up now at www.slingshotchallenge.org and learn more about how to craft your 1-minute video submission. Let's unite to create a brighter future for everyone, where youth are at the forefront of change. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Andy, for bringing us into the field with you and for an incredible look at your work. Also for introducing us to the Slingshot Challenge. We're so excited that you have here live. You're here live to answer some questions from our students. So Andy, please say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today. It's no longer raining, which is great. And well, I graduated high school not long ago, about 4 years ago. So I'm happy to connect with you on a peer-to-peer level and answer all of your questions.
Oh, that's so cool. I love the fact that you just graduated 4 years ago and you're already a young explorer. Impressive. Again, thank you for joining us and taking us into the field with you. We're going to kick off the Q&A portion of the show. If you're watching online, send us your questions in the chat bar. We record them as they're coming in, so please only send your question once. And teachers, please let us know who's asking the question so we can give your class or student a shout out. If you are on-screen guests, get ready with a nice loud voice, and I'll tell you when it's your turn. All right? So, hey, Andy, I want to ask the first question because when I met you in Explorer Week, I thought you were amazing. There are students out there who are watching and likely the age you were when you first started on your change-making journey. What inspired you to get your start?
So this is a great question. I want to share that my journey into climate justice, like as a movement, started to take shape in middle school when I started to learn about these issues in class. So I learned about deforestation. I learned about what was then called global warming and what now is the climate crisis. I learned about pollution, plastic pollution, toxic waste, and I'm pretty sure you're also learning about these issues now, right? But honestly, it wasn't until college where I really found my role or my place in the climate movement, because I never saw myself as a person like, holding the microphone at protests, but I didn't even see myself like as a scientist in a lab. So I really struggled to find my place. And so throughout the years, especially during high school, which is a great place to experiment, by the way, I realized through trial and error that I could use what I love the most, which, as you can see in the video, is photography and film, to shed light on how the climate crisis is impacting my community and really ground this really abstract and sometimes invisible force to our realities, right? And so I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of communities throughout the years. And I think their stories is how we inspire people to take action, how we dare to imagine a different world than we live in right now. And I think it's very important to bring back hope into the climate conversation. It's not all devastation. And when you hear about these people doing incredible work in their communities, you get inspired to act, you get inspired to join collectives, to maybe create a new solution in your community, to come up with a new idea. And so that I think is my role in the climate movement, telling stories about how people, despite our differences and like harnessing that diversity, we've come together to tackle the biggest challenge we've ever had to face. And so I'm very happy to say that this is my job now. Incredible. Of course, Nat Geo has played a very important role in that. And I'm very thrilled to be celebrating all those people like you here today that are working towards a better planet. So I'm very happy.
Actually, maybe from YouTube. So we had one YouTube question and it said, what kind of camera do you use? Great question.
Oh, I love all these technical questions. I use, and I have it right here actually, I use a Sony camera. I only have one lens because I haven't been able to save up for another. But this lens has worked perfectly to really like get up and close and personal with the people that are leading these really cool initiatives. So I filmed all of the clips you saw in the videos. And I mean, I love just getting in their face with my camera, which may seem a little daunting because it's a big, but I really like zooming in on like the water samples they take, on how they smile when they do this incredible work. And also this 50mm lens is really great for, landscapes. So like filming the river, and since it has like a very wide aperture, which means you can get a lot of light in the lens, it's perfect for filming in the morning, getting that like glimmer on the riverbank. Here in Mexico, it's always sunny, so we're fortunate to always have lighting in our shots. But I still have to learn a lot about how to light a scene. And I think that's something that's really fun about filmmaking and photography, that you're always learning new stuff, especially when you're part of the Nat Geo network and there's so many people that know so much. And so I'm constantly learning, but this is my beautiful camera. And I named her Greta after Greta Gerwig because she inspired me to start filmmaking. And if you saw Little Women or if you saw Barbie, it's that Greta, the director. And very, very fortunate to also have this opportunity to own my own camera.
I love it. You are so inspiring. All right. From Albuquerque, New Mexico asked, what are the most polluted places you've seen? And how can we help clean up the polluted area?
I love this question because it really ties into the last one. And the most polluted places I've seen, well, we have a couple of rivers here in Monterrey. The biggest one and the one that traverses the entire city is the Santa Catarina River. But there's also one river called Pesqueria, which is really close to where all the, the companies have like their plants and, all of this stuff that makes our water really vulnerable for industrial waste. And so since they're doing all of these products, they also like toss out all of their trash to the river. And it's unfortunately one of the most polluted rivers here in the city. And what's even more unfortunate is that, all the rivers connect, right? And though they all end up in the same place. And in the case of the Santa Catarina River, it ends up in a dam, which is where they store water for human consumption. And so unfortunately, you have like all this trash and this waste that ends up in our water supply. And there have been wonderful people that have like harnessed the power of collectivity to go clean up that river themselves. But also there's been some initiatives to like test the water to see exactly what we're dealing with, which is also very important, backing up our solutions with science. What's been wonderful to see is how the very own neighbors that live in that area have decided to take it upon themselves to clean their natural surroundings, right? They've recognized the crucial role the river plays in their lives, not only as a drinking source, but also within the other environmental services it provides. Rivers make the temperature here in Mexico a lot cooler. The plants in the riverbank make the air quality a lot better, and they've taken upon themselves to go clean up the river. together, to just go down with trash bags, put everything in the bags, and maybe do like some sort of, like a reel or a TikTok to really like show people what's happening with this river. Because if you don't live in that part of the city, you may turn a blind eye to it. And so it's very important to go to not only share the work we're doing, but inspire people to do the same in their areas.
Love. That's actually kind of cool because one of the kids in the chat said, her name's Cassidy. She said, "Hey, Andrea, I'm a senior at the University of Tampa or at UTampa, and I am an aspiring content creator in the sustainability tourism industry. Do you have any advice for new creators and how to get connected with organizations like Nat Geo?"
Well, that's a wonderful question, Cassidy, and I'm so glad you're going through the the content creator route, which may be a bit daunting at first, and you have to play like the waiting game at the beginning once you like get people really interested in your content. But Nat Geo has some wonderful resources, not only through the Explore Classroom sessions, but on their website through Nat Geo Education. And I don't know if you fall into like the Slingshot challenge range, which is 13 to 18, but you could also make use of their toolkit, which is like this PDF you can download from their website. And it really just breaks down content creation from like storyboarding to really grounding your solution or the topic you want to talk about through like problem trees and like recognizing all the different stakeholders there is to a problem. It's not only one cause, it's systemic in a sense. And so you have all of these resources online. I've also seen, Nat Geo does like free access storytelling courses. If you're interested in like either photography, graphic design, video editing as well, there's so many free resources online, especially from Nat Geo. So I encourage you just to take a quick Google. You could also just really get inspired by following other explorers on their Instagram. Maybe some of them have TikTok, I'm not sure, but they do really incredible content, as well as the Society's TikTok account as well, to just spotlight the work everyone is doing. And it's so diverse. And so you're really bound to get like a really wide range of perspectives when it comes to sustainability. And so I encourage you just to experiment. It doesn't have to be perfect at first. I have a really tough time filming myself. It took me a long time to get comfortable with the camera, in selfie mode, just you in your house filming yourself alone. But once you see that content go out into the world and really make an impact on people, I promise you'll feel more confident just putting out more videos and, dealing with this whole algorithm situation on social media where you have to like be constantly producing more videos to be relevant enough for an audience. But once you get a hang of it, once you hear and see what the community is commenting, I'm sure you'll get that boost of inspiration to keep going.
All right, so I'm going to go back to a YouTube question. Larcy asked or wants to ask, what is your greatest challenge in your journey as a young explorer? What is the most important lesson you've learned?
This is also a really good question because I think it ties into the fact that I'm a woman living in a relatively patriarchal society here in Mexico. And I think that's something we can't ignore. Like I've fortunately had the privilege of having like a private school education. I've been able to explore my interests thanks to my parents and thanks to the incredible supportive community I've been at. But something that still is there. Even after all these years, even though the fact I've fortunately had the opportunity to work with Nat Geo, is imposter syndrome. And I'm sure you've all felt it in a certain extent throughout your lives when you're in a space and you, well, I think have like all the capacity to be in that space, but you still feel like you're not enough. I think that's especially like very prevalent when you're younger and when you're still figuring out yourself, especially in high school or college. It's not something that that I've been able to to handle even all of these years. But it's something that I know everyone experiences, and what's wonderful of having like a network and a really supportive community, not only here in Nat Geo, but also with my friends and my family, is that you can get these constant reminders of like, you're enough, you're wonderful, you're really talented at what you do. And I think that's what's most important when building this community, right? And, it's been like this sort of mental thing for these past couple of years, but I think that's something that will fortunately get rid of as I get older and as I get more experience doing all of these stuff. And just recognizing that everyone here has the power to just take it upon themselves and do really amazing stuff in your community. And, that little tiny voice inside your head saying like, what are you doing? You have no experience in this. Like, who is doing this before you? Like, what are you doing? You should totally shut that out and really be really confident in what you do and recognize that everyone's voice is as important as anyone else's. And so your initiatives are as important as those you see in the news, as people you see organizing like really huge marches around the globe, like everyone's addition to this movement is as important. And so really surround yourself with people that remind you of that. And I'm sure your teachers are a fantastic support group as well. So whenever they compliment your work or really like cheer for you and your initiatives, be sure to thank them as well.
Well, Andy, we already have said how many times that I thought that you are amazing, and you should not have imposter syndrome. Don't let anybody put that on you. You're fantastic. Do you have any examples of the journey to the microcosms work?
Of course, and I'm so glad you asked that because I printed some of those out here today. Okay. And so this is one of the tools we use. It's called Bitácora del Agua in Spanish, but in English that translates to sort of like the water log or like the water diary. And this tool, among many of the others they use to like document species, is meant to encourage the people that use it to rethink what we mean when we say water quality. And so when we say water quality, it usually revolves around the fact that if the water is drinkable or not. But what we're trying to do with this really cool worksheet, which may remind you of some of the worksheets you filled out in school, we're trying to encourage people to rethink, what color does the water have? What does it smell like? Does it have movement? And what kind of species live beside that water source? And so it's like this really, honestly, kind of fun because I've always been in love with like coloring markers and, people that take really intense notes in class. That was always me. And so we love having this resource to allow people to document what they feel when they're near these water sources, and also to like appropriate being an explorer themselves. And so someone here just drew what their relation to water is. They also drew themselves. And this resource also serves as a very important way to monitor water health, because as you can see, they're able to select which kind of bioindicators they found near the water source. So for example, if you see fish, or if you see aquatic plants, or, fire, what are they called? I think it's called dragonfly. If you see those near water sources, it means that the water is relatively healthy because it has a lot of species thriving within it. And so that's one of the resources we use, but we also love using the Naturalist app to document the observations we see while we're on the field. And so you're able to just literally take a picture. And for example, I saw this really beautiful flower the other day. I went down to the river, and you're able to document it. You're able to see what species it is. And, researchers can then use that information to gauge what type of, flora, fauna, and fungi are living in a certain area, to create their research, to create public policy. And those are some of the tools we use.
Andy, amazing. Again, I was being asked in the YouTube, it was kind of an extension to the question you just asked, but how do you get funding for these projects, and what is your favorite thing to photograph? And that's coming from Anastasia, who's on YouTube.
Hi, Anastasia. Thank you for your question. And so regarding funding, this project, the one I do with Microcosmos, has literally $0. This is just pure joy to do. So we are fortunate enough to be able to like host the group at a local media lab, which is public. You can go there. It's like a public library, honestly. And so we meet up there and we use whatever tools we have to try to imagine a way to monitor health quality without having to invest in like really big equipment or having to maybe pay people and experts for their work. I know that's very important, but there are other institutions taking care of that. And so we're trying to, encourage society, like the general population, to get involved with this type of citizen science monitoring. And so this whole project cost maybe like, I don't know, maybe $10 to print this. We printed a lot of copies. This is the one I showed you is just one example, but there are many. Like this is a really beautiful drawing from a girl named Jenny. And so you don't need to have like really big funding to create these projects. You can, though, if you apply to the Slingshot challenge and you win $10,000, but it's not mandatory. You can just like use the resources you have. In this case, we really harnessed my friend Marvet's power to draw really beautiful stuff, but it's not necessary. But you can also just look up possible funding from your local government, from maybe Nat Geo through the Slingshot Challenge, or other grants they also allow.
These are fantastic questions. Now, I think Andy actually has a question for you.
Yes, I do. And the question I would love to ask everyone is that if you were to join the Slingshot Challenge today, what issue would you like to address in your community? And you don't have to think forward and start thinking of what solution could be possible. Just think about your daily life. Like, what would you like to change? Like on your drive to school, do you see a certain area that is polluted? Do you think you're breathing really harmful air? Like what's something in your daily life, in your family's life, at class, at school, at university that you would like to change? So let's just start brainstorming what issues we would like to address. And we'll be so happy to read those in the chat so we can all start getting ideas of where to start regarding our Slingshot Challenge submission. And so Raya has this wonderful comment here in the chat, and she says, or he says, or they said, they have an idea for this movement. And what if they recycle things and make a hard, strong net to catch thousands of garbage? And that's an incredible idea because that's addressing plastic pollution, not only in oceans, but also in local waterways. So I love hearing that. Anastasia is also really interested in plastic pollution because they love cleaning the ocean. That's also a really important issue to address because, have you seen all that news that says that we have like microplastics in our blood? Insane, but also a really important issue we need to address. The Addams family wants to address, wait, there's someone in the Google Doc here, air pollution. That's also a really present problem in my city. And, I read recently that there's like this type of paint that can capture like the really harmful particles in the air. You can Google that. That's maybe something that may spark an interest for your Slingshot submission. And Larcy says flooding, which is also one of the very devastating impacts of the climate crisis. And here on Zoom, we have cleaning and fixing our city streets from garbage and oil on the pavement, which is very important. We must really take advantage of all of these public spaces and take care of them. So I love that you guys are thinking about different problems and places you actually just experience on your daily lives and you would like to change. So very, very happy to be reading your answers, and I hope you guys are inspired.
Nice. I want to go back to another YouTube question from Monica. She said, what do you think young people in your town should do to protect the Santa Catarina River? Good question.
What a wonderful question. And I think the very first thing you could do is well, you can join Microcosms, the Microcosms Collective, but we sometimes do what we call like maybe like a day exhibition or like a trail walk or like a hiking experience in the river. And I think that's the very first step in recognizing what lives in the river. Because personally, in my 22 years on this earth, I had never been down to the river. Why? Because the entire city and like this idea we have of progress and like this is really like lack of access to natural spaces within city limits really limited me from recognizing that this is a natural area where a lot of species live, where our water comes from. And so it's been really like honestly hard, and it didn't even pop into my head that I could go down to this place and visit it. And you should always go with a group like Microcosms or Senderio or other collectives here in Monterrey. But it's the very first step, just going to this place, honestly, falling in love with it, which is what I did this year. And you can like instantly feel like a desire to take care of this place. And there's this really beautiful quote, which I am going to butcher right now, but it says something like, you can't protect what you don't understand, and like what you don't know, you will fear, right? And so the very first step in conservation, I think, is actually like really establishing an emotional connection with these places, maybe visited areas in your city that you think are neglected, but always visiting group. Please don't go alone. Please stay safe. But I think that personally for me, and the fight for the Santa Catarina River was very important. Just taking time out of my day with my friends to go down to the river and see what we're trying to protect, right? See all the environmental services it provides. The fact that you're there and it feels so much cooler than if you're standing on the concrete and the ground. And just seeing all the flowers and seeing the water go by, it's something that me as a person living in a rural context, I didn't have access to. But it's something that has kept me going throughout all these months, like the pure adoration for this space. So I encourage you all to do that as well. Just your local park, your local river, go down to there and really just sit down and observe. And while you're at it, if you want to document some species on the Naturalist app, you can do that as well and help other people know what lives there.
Love. I don't know if you had a second to look, Andy, but some of the other kids commented in the chat, and they said from Burlington City Tech, cleaning and fixing our city streets from garbage and oil on the pavement. And then Anastasia said, I guess she meant that like we have to be careful about the extinction of animals. And Renecia said, I'd like to show everyone how the biodiversity of a small area is to people and to let them know that they're destroying it. I thought that was so important. Yeah, I think it's so important to show people that we're responsible for what's happening in the environment. We have to be more careful. And then Jess said, adding more plant life to our city streets to reduce the temperature of the city. I mean, these kids are coming up with great answers. Kudos, everybody. I'm going to go back to a YouTube question. Jonas was asking this question, and I thought it's important. What are the industrial companies doing to minimize the dumping of the Santa Catarina River? Are there laws?
I would love to know that answer. It's something that we've tried to gain, transparency within all of these these industries, and government institutions supposed to like regulate those industries. What I've seen, like on a more positive note, I've seen like maybe some companies, one, not dumping their industrial wastes in our waterways, but also, using some of the resources they have as companies to like restore certain areas of the city, and like organize this really like huge cleaning brigades with all the employees in their company, like the volunteering day, and everyone, instead of working, has to go clean up a river. I think that's also important in a sense that it raises awareness of areas that these people might not visit, and the problems they're facing. But we definitely need more transparency in all aspects of environmental conservation within Mexico, and probably within other cities in the world as well.
All right, thank you so much, Andy. We have one more question because it's almost time to go. Andy, what message do you have for the next generation of explorers that are listening here today?
Ooh, this is such a good question. Like I said, and probably repeated all throughout this Q&A, I just want everyone to realize that their voices matter. And everyone possesses a valuable piece of the puzzle in this huge and daunting mission of protecting our planet, right? And I want everyone to harness the unique experiences they have and create solutions tailored to their community. Sometimes, as I mentioned, it may be daunting to just think at a global scale. And how can you stop like millions of CO2 just being pumped into the air? Like, how can you do that? And honestly, it just starts with grounding that problem to your reality. And just being critical about your daily routine. Like, what would you like to change? What type of problem do you want to just turn upside down? What do you want to improve? And I'm sure you can all harness your curiosity as students, which is something I really value. As a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult, we're very curious people. And honestly, we have all the resources with access to the internet to just rethink of what we want our future to be like. And so I want everyone to just really take advantage of the role each person has to play in protecting our planet. Not everyone has to do research. Not everyone has to do education or storytelling or technology, right? Everyone can do something different. And when we combine those powers, we can come up with really wonderful and diverse ways to protect the ecosystems and the ones we love. And obviously, I want everyone to apply to the Slingshot Challenge. I want everyone to know as well that you don't have to come to our office hours meetings or our design labs with something really structured and ready to go. We have these spaces for you to build upon your skills and provide the mentorship you need to workshop your idea, so we can make sure it's as integral and complete as possible. So when you film your video to submit for the Slingshot Challenge, you can have this really awesome project that you feel really proud of. And so I wish everyone the best of luck. I hope you sign up for the Slingshot Challenge, and please dream big. No idea is small enough to make a difference.
Thank you, Andy. This is amazing. I'm so happy that you took the time to be with us today and to share your incredible work. Thank you to the students for your thoughtful questions. And of course, thank you to the teachers for bringing your learners to the National Geographic classroom. Students, if you're between the ages of 13 and 18, we do encourage you to check out the Slingshot Challenge. Visit slingshotchallenge.org to learn how you can submit your 1-minute video about your idea for solving environmental issues. The deadline is February 1st, 2024, and you can also follow the Slingshot Challenge on TikTok at NatGeoSlingshot. To all of you who are younger than 13, and no worries, you're never too young to make a difference. Opportunities like the Slingshot will be waiting for you. We have very exciting Explorer Classroom season planned, so please register at natgeoed.org/Explorer Classroom. When you register, you can request a chance to be featured up on the screen with us. Join us for our next high school event on November 1st with explorer, storyteller, and free diver, Jahawi Bertoli, for a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to be an underwater film maker. I can't wait. So have a great day, everybody. Stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time.